Hello everyone, welcome back to our study. Today we're looking at Wednesday and we're talking about a heavenly principle. Question A asks, what fundamental concept should we learn from the example of Christ's earthly life? Luke chapter 22 verse 27 says, "For who is greater, he who sits at the table or he who serves? Is it not he who sits at the table? Yet I am among you as the one who serves." Jesus' life here on earth was characterized by serving. He was the King of Kings, and he not only humiliated himself by coming in the form of a man, but he came to serve. Let's read Hebrews chapter 12, verses 2 and 3. "Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. For consider him who endured such hostility from sinners against himself, lest you become weary and discouraged in your own souls." He is the author and he is the finisher of our faith. He is our pattern. And just as his life was characterized by self-denial and sacrifice, so should ours. This doesn't mean that it'll be easy. We will get discouraged, we will get weary. But in those times, let us look to Jesus Christ. Let us remember him and remember all that he did and how he kept going for our sakes. Let us keep going for his. In the note under A, it says the foundation of the plan of salvation was laid in sacrifice. Jesus left the royal courts and became poor, that we through his poverty might be made rich. Christ was the chief cornerstone, and we must build upon this foundation. Each must have a spirit of self-denial and self-sacrifice. The life of Christ upon earth was unselfish. It was marked with humiliation and sacrifice. Question B asks, in what sense are we to gladly follow Christ's example of sacrifice? Let's go to 1 Peter 2:21. "For to this you were called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example, that you should follow in his steps." Going along with this verse, I want to read the first little bit of the note under B. Christ sacrificed everything for man in order to make it possible for him to gain heaven. Now it is for fallen man to show what he will sacrifice on his own account for Christ's sake, that he may win immortal glory. What will we sacrifice for Christ? Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. "I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." In the first verse where it says, "I beseech you therefore," beseech means to call alongside. The apostle here is calling us alongside to follow Jesus, to give our lives, to sacrifice our lives for him, because it is a reasonable service. And by doing this, we can be transformed, we can be renewed, and show forth what is that amazing, that perfect, that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. A little bit more of the note under B says, "He humbled himself to our necessities, that he might exalt us to heaven." Sacrifice, self-denial, and disinterested benevolence characterized his life. He is our pattern. Have you imitated the pattern? Many times we think, oh, but it's my life. It's my body. I can do whatever I want. 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20. Ye are not your own. Ye are bought with a price. This should be hung in our memory halls, that we may ever recognize God's right to our talents, our property, our influence, our individual selves. We are to learn how to treat this gift of God in mind and soul and body, that as Christ's purchased possession, we may do him healthful, savory service. To end today's study, I wanted to read a prayer. This prayer was written by a famous missionary. His name is Jim Elliot. And he wrote this prayer on April 18th, 1948. It says, Father, take my life, yea, my blood if thou wilt, and consume it with thine enveloping fire. I would not save it, for it is not mine to save. Have it, Lord, have it all. Pour out my life as an oblation for the world. Blood is only of value as it flows before thine altar. May we follow Jesus today. May we give our hearts to him in these moments. May God bless you, and I will see you once again tomorrow.